No, no, I got it. I got it. It's fine. It's fine. You would think after doing that about 7 or 8 times that I would eventually remember to set it to not repeat that song, but no, that's not the way it is. I'm going to keep doing it indefinitely, I guess. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It is Friday, September. Oh, fuck. It's September. Son of a fucking bitch.
Well
Technically speaking, summer is pretty much over, and I didn't do shit. I did nothing. Oh my god, that's a terrible.
I don't know, man.
Whatever. Okay.
You got that box of Kleenex behind you.
That's true. Something. They can't see the Kleenex yet. Let me just change it up for them here real quick. There we go. Yeah, you can. That's the important thing, I guess. You can. Let me just also change that. Ladies and gentlemen, it's September the 1st, 2017, and I'm sad now. It's another Technical Alpha podcast. We got a great show for you this week. And bless Panic for picking the topics, because I did not have the will today to fucking scour the internet for this shit. So, anyway,
welcome.
Gentlemen, how are you? How are you doing, Mr. PanicSwitched? How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. It's been a long week. It's going to be a longer weekend. As the viewers on the podcast can't see, I have a ton of computer parts behind me that I'm going to have to assemble. All very pretty stuff. I'll post plenty of pictures on Twitter. Follow me there.
Yes.
But other than that, good week. Good week.
Excellent. Excellent. How are you doing, Mr. Black?
I'm not doing too bad. Not much going on over here.
You want to do me a favor and mute yourself on Skype, because you sound like you're in an auditorium right now.
Oh, okay. There we go.
There we go. It was pretty dope sound effect, actually. It was actually not bad. You just started. Actually, you know what? Unmute, and I'm going to ask you to hit me up with that noise. Unmute yourself real quick.
All right.
All right. Mr. MaximusBlack, hit me up with the sound of the best a man can get.
Gillette, the best a man could ever get. Gillette, the best a man could ever. Gillette, the best a man could ever get. Raul.
I don't know if the stream can actually hear that or not, but I don't care. I heard it, and it sounded 1,000 times better than it should have.
Man.
They probably didn't. They probably didn't.
That was freaking magical. Yeah. So anyway, it was funny for 2 of us. So fuck you guys. Yeah. So ladies and gentlemen, we got a good show for you today. Not a hell of a lot happened, but the stuff that did happen was relatively talk-worthy, especially in the last, what seems to be 24 hours. There's been all sorts of, like, my Twitter feed... Yeah, like, my Twitter feed has basically gone through menopause, whereby it was like, it's fine one moment, then all of a sudden there's a friggin' hot flash, and then it's fine, and then another hot flash, and so there's been all manner of nonsense that's happened in the last couple of days. Let's get down to talking about that stuff. Actually, well, let's look at this list. We'll ramp up into the good stuff. We gotta keep the people here. They can't just hear the good shit and then run away. We have to keep them here. We'll start with the slow shit. Destiny 2 beta. That's a thing that happened.
What was that slow shit?
In comparison to some of the other shit that was in my Twitter feed this week, Destiny 2 was on the low key. I don't know, man. I thought I got...
play it. Jeff, you played it, right?
Yeah,
I saw Jeff play it.
So Jeff and I played it. Jeff and I played it, so we have some stuff we can probably talk about there.
Okay, I saw Jeff play it for about 10 minutes, so I already half know what his opinion of it is. But let's hear you, Tabin. What do you got for Destiny 2's This is the PC, right? That what we're talking about, the PC beta.
Yeah, PC only.
Okay, all right.
Honestly, it exceeded my expectations because my expectations were pretty low for it. It was from the shooter and performance perspective. It looked really good on my computer. You know, I have a pretty beastly rig. You know, I had everything cranked. It looked pretty good. It ran smoothly. I was getting solid FPS, which is what I was worried about for the PC port. Just because Destiny was talking about all like the 4K and the 30 frame per second cap and some of the other stuff. But for PC, it played like any other high performance shooter that I've played before. The shooting was responsive, everything felt good. It did feel like a Bungie shooter, which was fine. The only thing that kind of felt weird to me, I need more time with the game to make a decision on it, was the aiming felt a little floaty at times, like I was hitting when I shouldn't have. But
Right.
like it didn't feel bad. Like I enjoyed playing it. I enjoyed jumping around. I enjoyed the mobility. So I did end up going and buying the game. So I'm pretty happy with it, and I feel like I'll put a decent chunk of time into it. I just don't know if it's gonna avoid the Destiny 1 problem of content. But since it's coming to PC and the performance was good, I'll give Bungie the benefit of the doubt here. That's my
Very
feeling.
good. Very good. All right, Mr. Black. Mr. Black, how do you feel about because you played the PvE section that they allowed for, and then you played a bunch of the PvP stuff, right?
Yeah.
So what were your thoughts?
I think the PvE stuff is a lot of fun. I'm with Panic. I thought it looked phenomenal. I had it cranked out to the max, and it ran like butter. I never had any frame issues, didn't experience any lag or anything like that. And considering that the beta was getting blown up to all shit, it ran really, really well. So the PvE was cool. A lot of good cutscenes and voice acting was well done. Characters seemed pretty intriguing. A little bit too Deadpool-y. They're trying to like really ride that. Hey, I'm
K6
smart
or whatever his
ass.
name is.
Yeah,
Cade Pool doesn't work for me.
Yeah, it's a little bit too much. Like almost so much that it's borderline like a parody. Like it's you almost. You want to take it serious because everybody else is like so serious and they're voice acting their ass off, and then you've got this really animated main character. But beyond that, it was great. I enjoyed it. The PvP is not for me. I don't like the PvP at all. I think it's a little bit too chaotic. Now, this is coming from somebody that didn't really play much of Destiny 1. I maybe had 8 to 10 hours into it, and I never played PvP in any way. So for me, for shooters, I would much prefer the team deathmatch or capture the flag or, you know, hold the objective like the one that I was playing in Destiny. But there is just so much going on. Like there's too much customization. You can change things on the fly, which it feels weird for me to complain about too much customization, but I feel like in a first-person shooter,
in a match shooter, it doesn't really work.
Match shooter, I just want to be able to everybody be on the same playing field and use the same weapons and let the skill be the determining factor. Yeah, exactly. Halo Online was amazing. I spent way too many. I mean, even Halo Reach. To an extent, I mean, it's fun online.
I want to be able to I want to pick the abilities, and then once you're in the match, you can maybe adjust the weapons, but your abilities are locked for that match. Like that's
exactly. Like your personal abilities, like you get like an ultimate as well. Like it felt like I was playing League of Legends or like a MOBA within a first-person shooter, you know, but it wasn't Paragon. It felt like there was. It was almost you could put on masteries and figure out what certain things are, and if you're new like I was just kind of jumping into it, I was getting fucking wrecked. And it wasn't until I found certain weapons and things that people were telling me in chat to play where I started to actually be able to kill people. And it was chaotic because one person with one gun would be shooting rockets at you, another would be headshotting you with a pistol, another person would be doing an ultimate and beating you up Captain America style with a shield. It was just, it's not for me. I can see why some people would like it. By all means, this isn't me hating on it, but in terms of just the casual going in and playing a team deathmatch or whatever, it's there's too much. It's too much.
I want the big PvE raids. That's what I'm like.
That's
I'm
all.
hoping they just keep pumping that.
Yeah.
I want to do like the loot stuff, and I want them to have content with the big PvE raids where you have like the 5 to 10 people, or whatever, or 2 teams or whatever. I want to see that. That's where I feel like my sweet spot's going to be.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
So watching it, I totally get, you know, everything that both of you guys just said. One of the things I wanted to talk about there that Panic mentioned was the shooting felt a bit floaty or whatever. I was reading, I can't remember where the article was today, but I was reading about some people's concerns about the fact that it's really built for the console, and the engine for the game and everything else is built for that. And obviously there's a lot of aim assist involved for the console side of things. And depending on how that's built out for the console, it's either difficult or varying levels of difficult, I guess, for the developer, which is not, by the way, Bungie doing the PC port. It's a totally different company. So there's varying levels of difficulty there for them to be able to, I guess, turn that stuff down, but can you turn it off entirely? And what it sounds like to me is just the very nature of the movement in the game that they've created for console shooting might be kind of showing itself, even though there's no, technically speaking, like aim assist.
Yeah, like, I don't know. It might have been like the gun I was using. I tend to play like the battle rifles, the 3-round burst ones or whatever. And like I was messing around with some of the different guns. I just felt like, as you're shooting, like if you're like doing like an angle or you're moving your mouse some way, like when I pressed the trigger, it felt responsive. Like when I clicked, it fired. But like where my gun was aimed when I clicked didn't quite match up with where I thought I saw the shots going. Like it's like I shouldn't have hit the guy there. Like I looked like I was slightly off, but I nailed him with 3 headshots. I'm like, okay. Again, it didn't really take away much for me. Like for PvE, as long as it's not like completely off and unresponsive, I don't really care. It's fine. But again, for a competitive shooter part of it, I can see that being really frustrating.
And then I can also see, when I was watching Jeff play in the PvP and I watched some other PvP as well. I had a similar problem with Destiny 1, stuff that Jeff's talking about, whereby in the competitive side of things, it just felt like there was a couple things. One, too much variation going on, like too many combinations and permutations on both sides of the field. Two, because of those, but also because of the varying power of those things when you're unlocking them, whether or not everyone, whether or not that people would agree that there was a level playing field, it didn't feel like when I was playing it didn't feel like a level playing field. And that made it really disheartening when you were just getting your shit kicked. And even when you were winning, it felt weird. So, so I saw that again in Destiny 2 when Jeff was playing and others. And then that was the first thing that I thought of when Jeff mentioned on his stream and what he just mentioned here, where he said, I just want everyone to be on a level playing field. I just want there to be guns out on the field that you have to maybe fight over, like the rocket launcher in Halo or the sniper rifle in Halo or some shit.
Even like the sword and shit, like
like there's it's a weapon that can change the pace of the game.
You want map impact as you're moving around.
Yeah, the map and then the team, getting to it. Like that's where it becomes powerful. Not necessarily because I just switched to it because I unlocked some shit and now I've got it available to me. And so so I guess this is not a shooter for those people that, for PvP anyway, that enjoy that kind of PvP experience. But what it does seem to make good for is the PvE side, which is what I would have been far more interested in anyway for Destiny 2, for the raids and everything else. So as long as, like Panic said again, they deliver on a better schedule than they did with Destiny 1, because the Destiny 1 schedule was garbage, then I'll be more interested. Yeah, then I'll be more interested in Destiny 2 for that, because I have zero interest in PvP. I just jerked off 2 ninjas in front of me. I was so adamant about that. So yeah, that's definitely my feelings as well. I never get to play it, but I feel like I didn't have to. I felt like I was watching Destiny 1 with like updated visuals, which I guess is good. Yeah, that's not necessarily good or bad. It just means that they have found
at least it's on
design
PC
language that they're happy with. Yeah, exactly. Here's a question for you guys. Do you think that it will be a problem if going forward the content is delayed going to the PC like the launch of the game itself is? So will the community on the PC start to get smaller as people don't want to wait 6 weeks for an entire new expansion to come out while all the console guys are, you know, miles ahead.
I don't really care because there's no cross save at the moment. It's not like
just from this is just from a purely like standpoint of
from like a
consumer
timing perspective.
I mean, there'll be people that'll be salty that'll be like, this is bullshit. But if you're gonna play it on PC, you're gonna play it on PC.
Yeah, and we have so many more games coming out than the console people all the time. If something comes out 2 months later, I'll delay playing it for 2 months. I'll play something else for a little while and then pick Destiny up again whenever stuff comes out. It's fine. Not a huge deal.
Oh, excellent. No, excellent. No, I wasn't saying it was a big deal, just wondering if, I think it will probably be something that ends up annoyingly in the news frequently is people salty over PC continuing to be way behind in content. But at the same time, maybe they just won't give a fuck. maybe that will be the case too. XCOM 2's expansion hit shelves here this week, did it not? I'm seeing that here.
Yes, it hit on Tuesday. So yeah. I know you and Jeff have opinions on XCOM. Personally, I'm a XCOM fanboy, but at the same time, I have to give them props for this expansion because a lot of the really annoying problems I found in XCOM 2, again, like every time they've been releasing one of these, it's been getting a lot better. This is the first time I felt that I haven't been utterly screwed by RNG all the time.
Well, that's good.
But on top of that, there's just a lot of other stuff going on. They've added a lot more mechanics to the game. It's a lot more. There's like a lot of crazy stuff they've added. You know, and you can play it through the whole campaign normally. But I think the thing that like the cherry on top for me was when I heard the voice acting. I feel like they literally like just went and were like, yeah, we're just gonna go and hire all the Star Trek Next Generation people and just have them do voiceovers. They have like 6 characters who are voiced over by Next Generation people. They've got Jonathan Frakes, who's Riker.
Q when Brian was playing.
Yeah, he's they got John Delancey, Marina Sirtis Troy does a character. Hell, they got Barclay, Dwight Schultz doing a character, and then they've got Michael Dorn.
They're probably all under the same management or same agency.
Yeah, they had a lot of like they got them all there, and like
actors and actresses that all worked together before. So
it was all great. Like I was just like, this is sweet. But yeah, no, overall gameplay wise, for the price, it's actually surprising that they did it as an expansion. There's just a lot of content, a lot of new stuff, a lot of crazy stuff, and they just fixed a lot of balance things. So I would recommend it to our viewers who like the tactical strategy games out there. It is great.
Did they fix the litany of problems that XCOM 2 had, whereby the patches were like forever, you know, between one another, and some stuff never ended up getting fixed, and there were some serious these weren't small issues, these were major.
I've had some weird quirks and pauses and stuff, but the game still runs fine. There's been way fewer crashes than the original XCOM 2. I mean, they fixed a lot. They've smoothed over a lot of the gameplay stuff, but yeah, there's still definitely quirks. I'd be hesitant to call anything utterly game breaking anymore, but you know, it hasn't been 100% smooth. I can say that.
Yeah, I wanted desperately to like XCOM when I played the original XCOM, and I just couldn't
is a very
fucking
punishing
do
game.
it.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to like XCOM 2, and I just couldn't like XCOM 2. And so now I just think I'm going to appreciate this shit from a distance. and just
watch Brian play, you're all set.
Yeah, like just understand that there are a huge group of people that love it, and the reason why I wanted to like it is, for as campy as some of the campaign shit is, you know, the writing is pretty good, and the voice acting is always really good in XCOM games. So, yeah, it just there were aspects of it that I really enjoyed, but I just could not get over. I mean, it wasn't just the RNG. The RNG is bad. I mean, anyone who tries to tell me that the RNG in XCOM
anytime you have dice rolls is the problem.
Yeah, is anywhere remotely. I mean, that shit is level 1 Morrowind level shit. Like, that's how bad the fucking RNG is. Like, you get a dude inside your personal space, like so close that if you were at a club, you'd be like, bitch, get the fuck back. You are too close. I can smell your cheap fucking cologne. Get the fuck out of my way. And you got a shotgun. And there's only enough room between you and them to place the fucking shotgun in between. And you pull the trigger and that fucking shotgun hits you. And shit's just fucking crazy. I don't understand how the fuck people played that.
I have not had one of those yet, which was one of my metrics while I was playing. I'm like, how many times do my guys just straight up screw up something that like a toddler should be able to do? And you know, I haven't had one of those moments yet. I've had a couple of like 50-50 moments where it's been like, oh, I got it, or oh, I didn't. But I haven't had any like 99%. And again, I'm not saying that it won't happen. I've just been lucky so far. I haven't had any 99% like right in front of the guy, like breathing on me, and I missed. I haven't had that yet. So I'm like, maybe they fixed that. Maybe they fixed that.
Yeah. It's it can
that seemed to happen more than 1% of the time before.
Well, yeah, like I'd be watching, my joke was, you know, the 80-20 rule, right? Which is like applicable in all aspects of life. I said in XCOM, the 80-20 rule is flipped on its fucking head. If it says 80% chance, it's really 20. And if it says 20% chance, it's 80. So just any time, just fucking reverse everything and it's sure to happen. So if an enemy has a 20% chance to hit you with some miracle shit, that is guaranteed to be nailing you. And if you've got an 80% chance of hitting them, nope.
Yeah, that being said, they've added some really ridiculously punishing guys out there too. Like you really have to be on your A game strategy wise. They're like I ran into a new enemy type and I'm like, oh, this won't be so bad. Nope, kills my ace in one hit. Like I don't even doesn't even do damage. It just melts my guy instantly dead. I'm like, okay. We're just gonna reload.
Iron Man is gonna be making people salty,
devastatingly
everywhere.
difficult.
Absolutely difficult. Everywhere. Jeff, I'm going to assume that you don't have a lot that you want to say about XCOM.
I have nothing.
We can move on to the next one.
Okay. All right.
Nothing to add here.
Next up. So this is one of the first things that that kind of blew up my Twitter feed, and this is like today, isn't it? Like this happened like today or yesterday.
Yeah.
This is a Shadow.
I don't know how to feel about this one.
Well, see, I feel like there's not enough information to know how to feel about this one. Right? Unless I've just not gone digging deep enough. Like, I don't know if I need to hit...
I can give a brief rundown for Jeff and you know the audience and everyone else.
Sure.
Pretty much, Warner Brothers is releasing Shadow of War, Lord of the Rings game, you know, sequel to Shadow of Mordor or whatever. And it's a very popular game. One of the executive producers who's been with the franchise since the start of it, and he was kind of like instrumental for how the game turned out and why it was a success. He passed away from glioblastoma, which is a type of cancer. And unfortunately, it left him and his family with ridiculous medical bills. So some of the staffers and stuff had put together, they put together a GoFundMe account to kind of help his family and kids, you know, pay off the medical bills and all that. It was like $300,000. They raised $130,000. Warner Brothers agreed and came out with a character based on him as a producer, as like an orc, you know, hero, whatever. And they said pretty much $3.50 of every purchase of this character until the end of 2019 will go to the family. And, you know, from my perspective, I don't know how much the DLC costs, so I don't know what ratio they're taking.
I think it's $3.99.
I read the article. Oh, okay. I didn't know how to feel about it. I know people on Twitter were like blowing up about like Warner being super greedy about it, but at the same time, like I don't know how to feel about it because like it's kind of like this is like a first. I've never actually seen something like this happen where you know the publishing company is like, you know what, we'll do something for the family based on you know the product itself. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not 100%. I'm not 100%. Well, the thing is, if we know how much it actually is, we got people in chat saying it was 5. I've seen 4. Let's assume the worst, let's say $5, right? Okay.
I'm okay with that. $3.50 out of 5 is pretty good.
So I guess the kind of the weird toss up here is that there have been a number of cases whereby developers have been, you know, honoring various individuals, whether they were on the dev team or whether they were a big part of the community or whatever, and they've been putting them in games. World of Warcraft is famous for this. And there are other games that have done it as well. Coincidentally, I feel like MMOs seem to be like the #1 location for these things to crop up. But this is the first that I know of where they're selling this thing that they're putting in. So I guess on one hand, the people are getting upset about it. You know, they're saying, why are you charging for this at all? Like, I can see that you're giving the family money, but then why not give all of the proceeds to the family? And then I thought there was some discussion about the fact that only certain purchases or regions would count for legal reasons, or something. I saw people talking about.
It gets complicated. Again, it all kind of depended on the numbers to me, because it gets complicated. Like, you look at stuff like Steam's going to take a cut, Sony's going to take a cut, Microsoft's going to take a cut.
Yeah.
Something, you can't be 100% obviously. So I feel like, if it was like $5 and $350, that's actually, that's a pretty substantial portion of it, minus market cuts and stuff. That's fine. It probably took them time to put it all together.
Here's how I'm with the information that I have in front of me. Okay, here's how I look at it. There are 2 scenarios here, maybe 3 if you make up a hypothetical. The first scenario is obviously they put them in the game and they charge nothing for it, and it's just there. They're like, hey, this guy was hugely instrumental to this last game and several other games. If you look at the list, he's worked on some pretty heavy-hitting games. This guy was well-known in the industry. So here you go. We're going to do this. He's in the game as an orc hero. Go have fun. That's scenario 1. Family is still fucked. Scenario 2.
Yeah.
They do exactly that, but the company just gives the family, for whatever, a lump sum of money that says, hey, you know what? He was big here, same kind of idea, same sentiment, but here's a whole bunch of cash out of the company coffers. The odds of them getting away with that and not pissing off shareholders in a big way, because shareholders tend to not have the biggest heart.
It sets a precedent.
And it sets a precedent for other shit. I mean, not to say that this last option coming up doesn't also, but still. So that's one option. Highly unlikely for a huge number of reasons for any company to be doing that shit in this space anyway. And then option 3 is where we are here. We're going to do this, we're going to make it a DLC, we're going to give the family over half of the proceeds for a long period of time from within let's assume also there is a regionality issue to it as well, let's say only North American purchases can count to it for whatever reason. And I'm not going to pretend that it's only
in US. It's only in US, excluding like 6 different states.
Okay, so I'm not going to pretend that I understand the legality behind that. I'm going to assume if it's that specific, there is absolutely some legal shit going on here that a lot of people are not going to be able to understand or not want to hear about.
It's going to be charity related, right? And they're not a registered charity. So there's probably some kind of legalities behind it where they need to make a certain amount of money. They probably need to market it in a certain way. It's probably not legal in certain states. Only available in the US.
Like 20, 30 or something % anyway.
Yeah.
Which I think amounts to them giving almost everything.
So in my opinion, fucking go for it. You are not only are you giving the family money to help with this shit, the intention is good. You seem to be jumping through as many legal hoops as you can to even make it happen to begin with. And you have to also understand, like Panic said, there's a hierarchy of people getting cuts of this content, whether it's charitable or otherwise, that's going to take pieces of the pie as well. So, I mean, the fact of the matter is, if this game sells as well as it probably will, there's going to be a fair chunk of change going towards this family and the medical bills left behind by this gentleman that had an unbelievably, I guess, rare form of cancer, which is just highly unfortunate.
More aggressive.
Yeah, and you know, fucking America, if you're sick and you have not good enough insurance, get bent, motherfucker. So it is what it is. So I mean, I'm cool with it because again, of the scenarios that could have happened here, this seems to be the one that is the most possible for this company to do without getting burnt to the ground for some stupid reason. I mean, people are going to be pissed no matter what you do because the family's not getting 100%, and they're going to see that it's region locked and all this other crap, and they're going to cry about it. But at the end of the day, look, you want to do something for the family? You're complaining about it? Go get together with all these other butthurt motherfuckers, start up a GoFundMe, and get all this money, and then give it to the fucking family. Problem solved. If you want to get
GoFundMe's
your
going to take a
charitable
percentage, man.
Yeah, well, fucking pay it off in your own pocket. Walk to the home, give it to them yourself. Fucking plant that shit in the mailbox out front. Fucking do what you need to do. But you know, I find it so silly that people would be so upset about this. I mean, really. So yeah, that's my thing. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I think that's good enough for us coverage wise. I mean,
well, I didn't
agree.
get to say anything, but sure.
Go ahead, Jeff. I didn't know if you were going to say anything. You're sitting there, man.
Well,
give us your
just
thoughts.
letting you get it out. I think the it's I personally I think it's I'm trying to word this properly here. I think I love the message. I love the heart behind it. I don't think that there's a place for this sort of thing in the DLC realm. It rubs me off a little bit in the wrong way and not in a good way, where they're going to make people pay for this. And they're selling it whether even though I know the intentions are not using a sap story to sell a character, no matter how you look at it, I mean, there are people that are going to be inclined.
That is functionally what it is,
and feel like they need to basically donate money. You know, it's kind of like, you know, when a streamer goes on stream and they start giving a boohoo story about this and this, and I get at least once a month somebody sends me an email about a sick family member or a loss of a job or an accident or whatever, and I feel for every single one of those cases. I seriously do. And it makes you sound and feel like a dick when you just kind of X out the email. You know, you say, you know, I'm sorry.
You have to have a
loss,
line
or I'm sorry, whatever. But there's a boundary. You know, you can't advertise everything, every sad story, because you're not only are you opening up the floodgates for this to become a norm and something that is exploited and used in a negative light, even though I don't say I know, but I have very good intentions that this specific case is in good heart. All right, there's nothing bad or anything to say about, you know, it's awful. He's a big part of the video game. You know, it's a tragedy, but at the same time, there is a place for everything. If you wanted to give him his own character, make it free, or even if it was $5 to do it, instead of telling everybody that this is what's happening, you could kind of keep it quiet and work out something behind the scenes. If you want it to be charitable to the family and the CEO or the higher up felt inclined to do something, because obviously somebody at the higher up had either felt bad or had a connection with this individual, or the staff members rallied and said, what can we do for the family that's obviously in crippling debt now, and it's a horrible thing, what can we do? And they probably got together and said, well, why don't we make a character? And they had to obviously go to the higher ups and pitch this, or it was their idea. I don't see why, if it meant so much, if he was made such an impact and they really wanted to go above and beyond financially, why wouldn't the company just write a check to the family and just say, you know what, here, we're going to cover the $300,000 in medical bills, and just be quiet about it. You don't need to go on social media and say, look what we did. You can say, hey, you know what, here's this beautiful person that did all this stuff for the company and the game and had such an impact. We're going to make a character on his behalf, and we want everybody to enjoy this part of the game because this is what he would want. Instead of marketing it as a charity event and, hey, you know what? For the low price of $5, $3.50 if it goes to his family. There's something about that just comes off like they're selling a story to make money. And I know that that's likely not the case. That I don't care how nasty corporations are. I like to believe that the human being up there has all good intentions, and they're not banking on the $1.50 that they're going to make on the side in the U.S. from an extra 100,000 people buying this because of the story and rallying behind it. I just, if I owned the company and I was that moved by the situation, I just write a check. I just write a check and present it to the family behind the scenes on behalf of what he has done for the company, and be quiet about it. And that's it. You don't need to make a character. You don't need to charge money. You don't need to make it part of the ad campaign. That's it. I mean, you could even go as far as making the GoFundMe or a whatever and marketing it that way if you really want to go crazy. And whoever wanted to donate can donate. But I feel something about this. I think it's a great cause, and I wish the family all the money in the world to help them out of this. And it's just money. They lost probably a father, a husband. Money is just money. But at the end of the day, when you're bringing it from personal into business, not only with the shareholders, like Adam said, with the consumer that is going to get the wrong thing, and then also there's just really great people out there. Believe it or not, there are really I go through it every day when I stream. There's people out there that care for people and that have a good heart and they want to help. And this puts people in a position where they may not have even thought about giving $5 or $3.50 towards a family, where they feel inclined to do so. It's kind of like when World Vision or another, for example, I've been sponsoring Deepak for years, and they give me these calls like once every 6 months where, they come on the phone and they're uppity and they're super happy, and then they ask me, how would I like to help support another family? And as much as I, even though I can afford to do that, and as much as I would love to help out, it puts me into a position where I almost feel bad if I don't do it. And I'm not saying that is their agenda about it. But when you put something out there for $4.99 and it's going to a good cause, some people just can't say no. And it's not because they don't want to support. It's just it puts them into a position where they kind of feel obligated to support. And that's the part about this that rubs me the wrong way. Fortunately, it's going to a great cause, so you can't complain about that. And we can make the argument that people are going to give when they want to give, and it's their money. They can choose to do whatever they want. But I truly believe when it comes to charity work, you don't really do that. It's kind of like, when the tragedy struck, and they did like a concert event, and the proceeds go to families in need and things like that, or whatever. It's a little bit different because you're getting something for free. You're getting, you get to go see a show or whatever, and any donations or anything like that, it's a little bit different. But when you're forcing people, and even if somebody wanted to experience that DLC, it's like the money's forced to go to this cause, or it's kind of just forcing people's hands, whether they want to or they don't. So that's where I'm at. I think it's a great cause.
Completely agree with you.
I feel for the family, condolences, but I think if they really wanted to help the big guys upstairs, just needed to write a check, write a $300,000 check. And shut up about it, and make that's the way I look at it. And of course, you can make the argument that they're going to make more than $300,000 off the DLC. They may make $1 million, they may make $2 million, and that's cool, I guess. But at the end of the day, the higher ups, they really want to make a difference, write a check and call it. That's what I would have done. And that negates all negativity anywhere. And it's a good look too. It's a good look on the company, but also when you do that, how many is that going to be expected every time someone falls ill? Every time somebody has a tragedy? Are they in a position where, well, you helped this family, why aren't you helping this family? Why aren't you helping that family? And that's the reason why it's hard to mix it.
Short of doing nothing on the point of precedent, short of doing nothing, all of it's a precedent. So even if they cut a $300,000 check, somebody is going to find out in the company, other than the dude who cut the check, that there was a $300,000 check cut. So no matter what you do, short of nothing, it's always going to set a precedent. It's a really difficult line to walk because, you know, on one hand, you know, like you said, and I agree, I don't. Everything's a case by case basis.
When I'm thinking about it.
See, you know, Adam, before you finish your thing, before I lose my train of thought, it's almost as if the higher ups or the people that work there, ultimately the higher up made the decision. I mean, somebody made a decision to do this. It's almost like, you know what, we really want to help the family, but we want to do it on other people's dimes. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know what, we feel really bad for this family. So instead of us footing the bill for whatever reason, whether it is to set a standard within the company or I don't feel like writing the check, let's get other people to do it. Because and the other people don't know this person. All they do is play his work, which of course brings a lot of joy to a lot of people. But there's a whole conglomerate amount of people that make up a game. It's almost like, hey, we really want to do something special, but let's put it on everybody else to make the special happen. It wasn't the other people's idea, and you're kind of pushing it on them. Even though they would have never have known about the tragedy, you know, but still, I mean, these sort of things happen all the time, and I'm not saying that in a disrespectful way. It just feels like it's pushed on the public, even though it's a great thing to push. If you're going to push something, this is probably the best thing to push.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Directly related to what he did, you know, it's something he's passionate about.
Exactly. It's got a good story to it, for sure.
Which is exactly why this, you know, you have to look at everything on a case-by-case basis with this shit. And in this case specifically, there doesn't, like Jeff said, there doesn't seem to be any malicious intent. No. This all is in you know, good intentions. It's just, it is unfortunate. I mean, I have to think that somebody in the company probably did think, can we just cut a check for the family?
They're probably hoping they could.
There is a very real possibility that they were not capable for a litany of reasons, whether it was company specific or otherwise, to be able to do that. And so this might have been one of those, this is the highest probability of us getting them
within our power.
Like with the highest probability chance of us covering those bills while also playing nice with all of the, you know, there's a lot of balls in the air with a game company.
Everyone contributed. Like, you know, this is not just us cutting a check. Everyone contributed. See, look, everyone loved this guy so much that they did.
So many variables to take in that this was probably one of those things where somebody said, this is the best that we can do without taking too much crazy, and do it. But for sure. I think that when it comes to charity, and to speak to Jeff's point there about making people feel like they have to participate because you'll feel bad otherwise, like it's like, again, it's like the World Vision. You know, you turn on the TV on a Saturday morning and like 5 different channels.
Are you a terrible person and don't want to support this child?
Here's some actor that you haven't seen in 25 years showing up on World Vision and they're like
Shania
wearing
Twain.
khakis. Yeah.
You remember me from the 1994 hit song, I'll Remember You.
Oh, it's just like, you get that. And they even do it with like animals and shit. The SPCA is like they all do it. And that's like a really obvious fucking Feel bad.
The animals
Give us
are the
money.
worst, dude. And I've got a soft spot for animals, so I'm just like,
so
fuck.
you know, I'm not going to say that that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But it's hard to not present it that way because probably in part to the fact that those things do exist. So even though you're on like the spectrum of how much are we shoving this down your throat for feeling shitty about not giving money, you know, despite the fact that they're over here somewhere on the lower end in this case, they're still on the spectrum simply by by proxy because Kenny Rogers is cutting a fucking commercial for World Vision.
I mean, how nice would it have been? How nice would it have been to make the DLC free? And then when that part of the DLC is it like a mission or is it just a character?
No, he's a full-blown character. So like in the
voice
game,
acted,
you
modeled,
played the original,
everything.
right? Didn't you, Jeff? I thought you played. Yeah, so remember you can recruit orcs to be part of your. Okay, so they made an entire character specifically. It even looks like the motherfucker. Like
I mean, how nice?
His character.
How nice would it have been if they made the DLC free, and then you know, when you unlock the character or something like that, it prompted up, and it said, or when you were done that part of the DLC, even made it free, but have an option to donate, and you know, a place that you can click or you can go to, and you know, there's no price on this. This is free in memory of this individual. And if you enjoyed this part of the game or you want to make a difference for his family or something like that, then the person could go ahead and donate, so to speak. So, you know, the option still pops up and you could still support, you know, more than $5 if you wanted to or less. And you could do kind of a charitable thing that way. I think that would also be a good way to do it as well. So that way they're not selling a sad story. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That it's just there and it is what it is.
Yeah, I feel like you could still misconstrue that to be a sad story, though, because they're still advertising it and it's still going to make you feel like you need to do it.
I feel like it's a sad story either way, but at least this one, and also for the ones that just don't want to support, because believe it or not, people are going to go, well, it's only $5 because a guy, you know, passed away, and now they're making me pay. It's
almost like people have the free will to say no.
That's true. But then
it's
but
almost
you also,
like that's the
but
case.
you also,
then you have that guilt factor, that little guilt factor.
You also know that not only with the guilt factor, but that people will complain. They'll go, well, you know, why is it I have to pay for this sort of thing to experience this part of the game, and it has to go towards this? Or you know how people are, man.
Because you touch yourself late at night. That's why.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, listen, if I get this game and I own the game, they've got my $5. Even though, well, actually, I'm not in the States, so they're not going to have my. No, it's not going to go to the. Well, shit. Then I'm not downloading it. Then I don't.
I mean, look, I've seen a lot of Kenny Rogers, you know, peddling a bunch of small African children over the last few years, and I still haven't sponsored anybody because I have to sponsor myself. So it's just, you know, one of those things. It's life. Yeah. It's bad. It's unfortunate. I wish the family all the best, and I hope that this thing just sells. Like
I hope they make millions. I hope they make millions.
Yeah. Just blow it out of the water.
If they're gonna do it, if they're gonna do it, I hope they do it and some.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I hope it's a one-time thing that we don't. This isn't like
not have this all the time.
The start of hey, you know.
I'm sure we're going to see it crop up in other places for other reasons, but you know, again, case-by-case basis. We will be back with the next case to discuss it as such when it does inevitably come to fruition. PUBG, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. That's a game that we like to talk about every now and then here on the podcast. Because it's still, you know, basically king of the gaming sphere right now in our world. And they are apparently working on a new map. It's a desert map. It was, to my understanding, it was like a more urban centric.
I thought it was going to be a winter map.
So apparently nobody knew what the fuck it was going to be, but I guess now it's desert related. That doesn't mean it can't be, you know, a city of some kind. But it's the same size as the original, 8 kilometers squared, and apparently they're thinking about adding bicycles for stealth, fast travel. That's until you put one of those playing cards in the back wheel, and then they always hear you coming.
Yeah, they were like originally. I was reading the article. Originally, they were going to do like a 4x4 map, like 4 kilometer by 4 kilometer, a lot smaller, a lot more like condensed. But then they kind of realized with like the 64 or 100 man, that's a little too crowded, and they just decided like let's just go with the 8x8. It keeps the format a little bit better because you can do customs and it just makes it more flexible. The big difference on this one is there's a lot less water. They have like a river and like some small watercraft, but there's not nearly as much water. So there's more like runnable land and stuff. So they said they were looking at ways to make it a little bit easier to navigate without having to deal with, you know, the noise of cars. Like sometimes you just need to move quickly, but not necessarily make a lot of noise. And they're like, we have the technology to do bicycles, so we might do that.
Soviet Russia still has bicycles, so I think we should.
Like,
have
can you
some
imagine
bicycles.
you're rolling up on some guy and you're rolling up on him with a micro Uzi and you're on a freaking bike?
You know what the
or
next
like you
thing
whack
we
him
need?
with a frying pan?
Bike bells. That's the next hype. We had car
That'll be the
horns, now we
horn.
have bike bells. You're gonna be riding along through the fucking woods on your mountain bike, and you hear cha-ching, 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 and then it will be that guy trolling Shroud on stream, fucking just driving in circles. Cha-ching, cha-ching.
How many people are we gonna hear scream "Nigga stole my bike"? I mean, it's probably gonna happen.
China
so
number
much.
one.
It's
Oh
probably
my
gonna. I
God.
mean, I thought I heard N bombs drop already a lot.
There's a good possibility
this
that's the thing.
Oh, it will be a thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
ever since Super Punch Out, you know, or Punch Out,
I'm just surprised I had to put my foot in my mouth so badly about PUBG. I remember when it first came out, I was like railing on the whole survival shooter thing and how they never finished.
Oh, it's still a fucking dumpster fire.
Gong show.
Like just absolute.
But it's the best dumpster fire there is.
5-alarm fire, but damn it, if it isn't entertaining in some sick fucking subconscious way, it gets me, and I fucking hate it because the game is built like something out of 2003. Just shit. I like when I played it yesterday, I was just up on a hill looking down over Pachinki or some shit, and I'm looking at the buildings and I was like, this fucking straight up looks like some shit I played in 2003. I'm looking over top of like just some old ass graphics, and it takes a mammoth computer to run this game at anything at a reasonable frame rate, and I just can't for the life of me fucking figure out why. And then the bug that happened to me before, 2 times before, happened to me again last night, but slightly different, where when I hit the ground, no buildings loaded in fully. So they were all like...
That's been happened to me. That's happened to a lot of people.
Yeah, and I've had it before where they don't show up at all, but this time it was like
Adam, it's in
N64
beta.
GoldenEye. It looked like GoldenEye, where I could actually I could walk through everything. So the dudes were spectating me on my team, and I looked like I was walking, I looked like I was like fucking Jesus, just walking on water, walking through like barrels and shit, and I'd just like stroll into a house, and I'd see like a fucking machine gun on the 2nd floor, and I'd just be like, fucking grab that shit, and just like bounced out. And it, just stuff like that shouldn't happen. I mean, I understand
someone get out of a buggy yet?
Well, we get to play it
get
in
out
what,
of a
8
buggy
days or
and they
6 days, or when it was 7th, on the 7th?
The map?
7th, yeah.
No, Adam and I are
map?
playing it.
Oh.
We got a little sponsored sellout
we're selling
stream
out.
to do with PUBG and Intel.
Yeah.
Nice.
Jeff and I will be running duos. We're gonna get on a motorbike. We're gonna jump over some houses. That's what we're gonna do.
You guys are
Probably
going to get
die a
nothing
lot.
done and you're just going to shoot each other.
It's
what I
gonna be
feel is gonna happen.
It's gonna be a gong show.
I'm going to be on the plane.
Absolute
Jeff's going to be
gong
like,
show.
I'm jumping now, man. And I was like, we're
Jeff's
going
gonna
to
be
tunnels,
that
man.
motherfucker.
I'm
Jeff's gonna be that
Ramboing.
motherfucker going school, and I'm gonna be the guy going tunnels, and that will be that. But yeah, no, the game. So the game, I do hope that they eventually bring it all together. Here's how I look at it. This game has sold over 8 million copies the last I heard. Right?
More viewers than League the other day.
Yeah, like this game is fucking huge. And they've got
More viewers than League now.
To my knowledge, this Korean team of developers, Blue Hole, or as everybody calls it, Blue
Ridiculous
Balls
name.
Entertainment or some shit. And they need to move that away from them. They need to take their dev and just say, it's been nice, guys, but learn to code. And then just give it to somebody else that knows the fuck they're doing. This is Unreal Engine 4 this game is built in. I've never seen somebody use Unreal Engine 4 to date and somehow have a game run and look so shit. I don't understand how that's possible. They've managed to make it fucking happen. But beyond all that, my biggest gripes with the game aren't even like the quirky, bullshitty things. That's whatever. That's, you know, I understand. The game took off like a bat out of hell. Shit's gonna fucking happen. It is what it is. But I am really upset with the fucking gunplay in that game because they try and pawn the game off as having a certain level of realism. Despite, yeah, and everybody was like, what do you mean real? Yeah, they're totally, this is an Arma mod. They're going for realism. They've thought the thing that I tend to bring up is they've had enough forethought to say, okay, if you're riding on the back of a motorcycle, you can't change the fire mode of your assault rifle because that would require too many hands. You have to still hold on to the dude in front of you while you're on this bike. But you can do it with a pistol because obviously it's a fucking pistol. Okay, so we have gone that deep. You can put a pan on your ass and a bullet will hit the fucking pan and not kill you or take out your right ass cheek. But, damn it, if you are 10 feet from a motherfucker and he's got a level 1, like, police fucking issue bulletproof vest and you have an M16 and you are 10 feet and you pop 5 shots into this center mass. His reticle doesn't even fucking bounce around. He's just taking this shit like a champ. He doesn't die, and if he just turns around and he fucking like fires off like a shotgun or some shit, you're dead. And you're sitting there going, what the fuck? And then the better part is when
here we go.
When you're at a distance and you have an assault
Rage
rifle and
meter.
you're at single fire. And the best thing to do is to obviously keep it in single fire because the kickback on a fucking assault rifle, even with a grip, is real. And so you're trying to take shots. You're not even going for headshots. You're going for body shots. It's whatever. And your reticle's on them and you're hitting dick because the tick rate or whatever the fuck is garbage and everything's just shit. And you can't hit them every once in a while. Like you'll shoot a shot, your reticle's not on them, but the blood splatter happens anyway. It's a gong show. So what happens? You fucking do what nobody should ever do. At 100 feet out, you put your fucking AKM in fully automatic, and you fucking just hold down the trigger. And you're fucking like... fucking just... guns fucking blazing all over the place. You're dragging your mouse down, trying to keep that shit in fucking in sight. And then you kill a motherfucker. Which is like the polar opposite of what you should possibly do. And it kills me every fucking time. I hate it. I hate it so much because it gets me killed. I'll be in a firefight, pop, 5 shots, dude turns around, just fucking one-offs me.
If there's one thing that I've learned from Adam, and I've known Adam for a very, very long time.
You know me a long time. What is it? You know several things, so what's this one?
Well, if there is one thing without a doubt that happens with Adam, is whenever he gets his ass kicked in a video game, it is always to do with the balance or the game or how it's ran or how it's programmed or whatever.
That's right.
And then when he knows after he sounds like a fucking whiny bitch that's bad at the game, he'll say,
right.
And also I'm bad. He'll make sure that he says that part. That he'll even make the slide things.
Well,
that come watch me be bad at player unknown. But it's always the development of the game. That's it without a fucking doubt, without a doubt.
But when
that's the reason why.
But what I'm saying, when you watch somebody who isn't bad, okay,
yeah,
like Shroud, for example.
They're winning games a lot.
Just go watch Dr. Disrespect. Learn how to play.
Yeah, anything like again, people who are good, very good. All right. That's what they do. They're in full automatic from retarded distance because they don't even bother to fuck with single fire unless they're like 300
adapt,
meters
my friend.
out.
Then adapt and just do what they do.
I don't want to, Jeff. I'm stuck in my ways. I'm never fucking gonna buy anything else ever again. I'm gonna ride this shit into the godforsaken fucking sunset. I refuse.
He paid his $40 for this game. Or the 50. I don't know how much it cost.
I paid my money. And I'm gonna cry the way I want.
All right.
No, but I still have fun though.
Do you go through on a regular week, Adam?
It's a fun game. It's still fun.
Just...
It's still fucking fun. You just go and you do some crazy shit. It's silly. You see a dude
of course,
like on a bike.
dumb shit happens all the time. It does.
And you'll hit a hill. And you see some crazy shit where a dude's like 50 feet in the air on a fucking motorcycle, and this partner in the back headshots a motherfucker driving a car 200 feet away, and you're like, yeah, only PUBG. It's great. It's fun. It is. It's fun. But my God, yeah. I wish I could turn that part of me off, but it's forever there. It'll probably be the death of me.
Did you know they actually did do a they did test firing against cast iron frying pans to see if they could withstand the bullets. They did that.
Well, I'm not saying that that's unrealistic. I'm fully accepting of the fact that a cast iron pan will stop a bullet. I would not be surprised if that was the case whatsoever. I mean, that shit is heavy duty. I mean, it's not going to stop a friggin' 50 caliber round, but it'll stop some pussy fire for sure. For sure. But yeah, Jeff and I will be playing that on, I think, the 2 different days, right? 7th and 9th? Or something?
Yeah, I think. I don't know. I'll have to check the dates.
It's
next week.
For a couple hours. So look forward to that hot mess as we do our damnedest to
we'll put it on LAGTV for all you to enjoy.
Make it. Oh, yeah.
Oh, dear Lord, that's going to be hilarious.
People are going to be so upset. It's going to be good. All right, well, that's it for segment 1, gentlemen. It is time to sell out. It is time. The time has come. And then when we get back from that solo break, we're going to move on to discuss movies, television, and basically whatever the hell else that we want to talk about in segment 2. So sit tight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching or listening up to this point. Enjoy the sellout, and when we get back, we got more for you. So sit tight. Hey guys, if you're enjoying Technical Alpha and are interested in supporting us, do I have a solution for you? We've set up this Patreon page to help us help you, help us and you. We've got a list of options that would make a used car salesman cry that provides you with a range of goodies for your support. Head on over to patreon.com/technicalalpha to see what's up for grabs. Like fancy badges and stuff? Subscribe to us on Twitch to get access to, well, badges and stuff. Not big on subscriptions. We have a button below that allows you to directly throw money at our faces. Careful you don't take those eyes out though. We are so very fond of our eyes. Honestly though, while we like to joke about the sellout, just being a regular listener is a huge help, and we're incredibly thankful for all of your support. Technical Alpha will continue soon, so sit tight. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for spending some time listening to that sellout. It's time to move on to TV, movies, and all things not video games. Well, not all things. That's side B. The all things segment, side B. But close to it. Approaching all things. I'm gonna be straight with you, Panic. I don't know anything about this first topic, so I'm gonna let you have this one because I don't even have a lead in for. I've got nothing, not a thing. So you go for it. This is all you.
That's actually 100% appropriate for this topic because I saw this today and I'm like, this is possibly the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
Perfect.
So yeah. For those of you that don't know, there's a game called Ark Survival Evolved, which is one of my favorite genres of games, early access survival games. Where you know, yeah. And it's finally, you know, coming out. You know, it came out very recently with like the full official launch.
Yes.
But apparently during this time, they decided, hey, you know what? We're gonna develop a YouTube show, like fully fledged, like live action YouTube show, based on this game.
When I read that,
and they actually produced a trailer. They produced
And
like a full trailer.
Really?
And like everything. Yeah, it's I put the link on the docs page just recently. But they just you know, it's done by like a Game of Thrones producers, like full live action, like trailer series thing. Most ridiculous thing I've seen. And
What?
I'm just like, okay, guys, you guys were a year late on the game. This is what you guys were doing?
Okay.
But I'm not confused as to why they decided this was like a good idea. I mean, it looks interesting, but at the same time, like, I don't feel like this is going to drive sales. It seems like a weird tangent to take on the game.
What the... What? What? What?
And this is
What?
not like low production.
Okay.
This is like high production.
Okay, so... Sure. I'm sorry. I'm mind fucked right now. I'm trying to like piece together this whole thing in my mind. So yeah, I
Why
mean
go to
Ark
this
has
effort?
been around forever and a day. Finally gets out of early access to the, you know, right around the point where people were thinking this is never going to leave early access.
Boom, live series.
Yeah, like what the fuck? And again, why?
It looks like
Why-
shit.
just
Not
why?
gonna lie.
It
The
looks
acting
bad.
looks bad. What? The acting looks horrible. The dinosaur looks terrible. It just looks like a pile of ass. It looks like a cheap trailer for the actual game. Pass.
This is what I'm thinking.
I know.
Okay. Game
You know,
of
if they
Thrones
did like a
producers-
one-off trailer,
Great.
solid. But this is like a series. Like, why?
Well, I mean, think about this for a second. All right, Game of Thrones struggled with their CGI budget. Can you imagine? You have a trade-off here of quality to amount of CGI you can have in any given episode. So if they're going to be riding around on freaking dinosaurs and whatever in this show, can you imagine how bad that shit's going to look? It is going to look awful. And if they don't, then is it even Ark anymore? And like how are they going to spin that? And they
Ark
needed
doesn't
to
even
not
have a story.
they needed to not have the logo for the game because it's a shit logo. It looks like somebody put that
too.
together in friggin' Microsoft Paint. I mean, I don't know. I don't understand why this is a thing. I mean, they tried this game tie-in thing with Quantum
Halo?
Break, and that seemed to be
Defiance.
Well, I mean, Halo, they did a web series, yeah, for sure. So this has been tried before. It's never really been successful. So of all projects, why in the shit would Ark be the one to work? I must be missing
I just want to
something
know the
here.
marketing team behind this, and I want to backhand them. Again, I didn't want to spend too much time on this. I just thought it was the most ridiculous thing I've seen, and it might get some ridiculous responses from us. But at the same time, yeah, like marketing wise, I don't understand why someone would look at this and say, yeah, this is a good idea. Let's dump a ton of money into producing.
It's not a good
stuff
idea.
doesn't cheap. Yeah, that stuff doesn't look cheap at all.
It's
And
not
like,
a good
why would you
idea.
do this? Yeah.
You know what?
I
You know what
mean-
this? You know what this smells like? It's such a bad idea. It looks so shit. That if I had to make the analogy, because I'm gonna do it, and I don't give. It's almost like you buy a new house.
Okay.
And you've got a budget of $200,000. And you know damn well that $300,000 house in that neighborhood just looks so nice. I mean, you looked at all the $200,000 houses, and you know it's every one of them it's missing something. You know, the nice basement
you got click
or
flooring, Jeff.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Click flooring.
It's just missing something. So what you do is you go to that nice $300,000 neighborhood, and you find the shittiest house in that neighborhood. And you're like, you know what? This one here is like 250. I think we might be able to swing this. I mean, you know, if we put this over, amortize this over 25, 30, you know, maybe we can do 30 years fixed. It's only going to be like an extra $15 a month over 30 years. You know what? I think we can push this, hun. And so you move in. You buy the house when you know you shouldn't have bought the house, and you move in. But the thing is, it doesn't have a finished basement. All right? The basement is just bare. All you got is the upstairs. And so you go, you know what? It's okay. Because if I would have bought the house
down there,
if I would have bought the house next door for $300,000 with the finished basement, we'd be in the poorhouse. We would be house poor. But I've got a better idea. I'm going to take out a loan, and I'm going to do it myself. And I'm going to save money.
You know what, Jeff? So, I watch an awful lot of Leave It to Brian. I can totally fucking do this shit.
So,
for us Americans and real people, can you explain Leave It to Brian?
No, I'm gonna leave this. I'm gonna leave this right here. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do this myself. So I go and I apply for a loan, and the bank is crazy enough to give me a $50,000 renovation loan. And I'm thinking to myself, 50 G's? Oh my goodness. Well,
shit,
I'm not going to spend
$300,000 home.
I could have gotten that $300,000 home, but this is what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to do the finished basement. I'm going to take out the $50,000 loan, but I'm going to get more of that clicking shit that we saw in the $200,000 house with the floors that click together. I'm going to put on the cheap wallpaper. I'm going to get the shitty little vanity at Walmart for $40. I'm going to go ahead and put on the little dinkiest little knobs
Jeff,
for my things. No pot lights here. I'm going to get those old school fat ones that sit up there with the roofs that you can pop
fluorescent
and clip
lights.
in. Yeah, fluorescent, nice and cheap. I can get that on Kijiji. Some old church went down. I'm gonna take them all. So I'm gonna do the whole renovation for $10,000. My basement will be finished. But here's the kicker: I still have $40,000 left. I'm a genius. I just made $40,000. Even though the bank gave me $50.
Jeff,
I only spent $10,000.
What if you paid off your mortgage with the $40,000?
I'm gonna pay. How I'm gonna put $40,000 on the house because I'm a genius. That's ARC, where they go, you know what? Yes, we need to spend some money, and I'm gonna cheap the. Oh, you're gonna give me a budget? Oh, $3 million? Okay, but I'm gonna go and $400,000, and I'm gonna keep the remainder for myself. I'm gonna buy. That's what it's. This is just shit. It's so bad. It looks so cheap. Just stop. Stop, ARC. You're lucky you came into full release. Stop it. Stop it. You've already won. You've already won
on that topic.
Somebody out there definitely thought at one point about paying off their mortgage with a line of credit that they have.
That they're guaranteed paying a higher interest rate on than the actual mortgage itself.
That crossed somebody's mind at some point out there. We're getting too real for people right now. Somebody's
the funny
offended
thing is,
right
I've met people like this in IRL.
For those listening to the podcast, please do not take out a line of credit to pay down your mortgage.
There's
please
at least
do not do
5
that.
people listening right now that are going, fuck.
That's a good idea.
No,
please
it's not
don't.
a good idea. Just no. Just
Please
stop.
do not.
Stop.
Oh, fuck. It's like paying your credit cards off with other credit cards, except the other credit cards have a higher interest rate.
Exactly.
God.
Just brutal. Speaking of brutal, The Dark Tower kind of fucking sucked.
Oh, that movie was so bad. It was so bad. It was so bad.
You want to know why it was so
shame.
bad, Jeff?
It was so bad.
Want to know why it was so bad, Jeff? Because they said, hey, Stephen King wrote this great book. We're going to use this to heat the set as fire while we just take some characters and words we saw in there and just make a movie. We're going to put Matthew McConaughey in there. We're going to put Idris Elba in there and some kid.
Can't fail.
And we'll be golden. Because you know what? Stephen King wrote the book that we didn't read. And that was The Dark Tower.
It was so bad.
I don't even want to give them that. I think they actually read the book, but then just said, fuck it, this whole thing can be carried by Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey. Let's just slap this bad boy together and pay off
Either that
our
or they got a
loans
budget.
with our
Either that
other
or they got
line
the
of
budget.
credit.
And we're like,
Idris
we
Elba.
paid Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey and we're out of money now.
Yeah,
here's the
McConaughey,
movie.
Stephen King. What can go wrong? You know, three big names. Let's just throw it out there.
Oh
Nah,
my
it was
God.
bad. I don't even want to sit here and talk about it. It was that shit. It was.
We're not talking about the
absolutely-
movie.
Okay.
No,
We're not talking about the movie.
Technically.
It was so bad that Stephen King came out and decided that he's going to try to buy back or reacquire the movie rights to all of his old classic books so that doesn't happen again.
Holy
Luck.
fuck.
And he's
Fuck
actually
Stephen
in the
King.
process because he's trying to get them back. And then he said he will work with the studios to produce the movies himself. But he wants to have the creative control and
No,
rights back.
Stephen
because of
King. No,
how bad Dark
you're,
Tower was.
you're shit at making movies too. You're really shit at making movies, Stephen King. Stay away from it. All right, you sold out. You sold your shit.
Keep the books.
And this is what
Keep doing
happens. All right.
books.
You know what? George Lucas can't go, hey, Disney. Hey, Diz. I don't like what you did with episode 7, although it fucking worked like a motherfucker and you made a bajillion dollars. I'm going to try and acquire my shit back and I'm going to be part of the entire. No, stop. Stop. You made your $4 billion. Now fuck off in the sunset. Fuck off. Stephen King, stop the madness. Just write your books and die a wealthy man, please. And I don't. It's bad. It's bad.
In related Stephen King news, Gabs and I watched the first episode of The Mist Netflix show based on the Stephen King novel. It wasn't completely bad, that first episode, so I'm going to continue watching that.
All right,
No.
so here we go. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you the show to watch on Netflix.
Okay.
Right now. Fuck
Okay.
The Mist.
Okay.
All right, you're
Okay.
That's your first mistake. All right, I'm not saying you can't
All
enjoy
right.
The Mist. All right, because
I scrolled through the entire library of TV shows last night, so
All
I
right.
want to know what of those.
Did you watch
was.
Ozark yet?
boom,
Yep.
there it is.
I
Ozark.
already watched it. I already watched the whole thing.
All
I mean,
right,
it's
then.
completely.
Enjoy The Mist.
Ozark is completely. Yeah. Ozark is completely like a.
Jeff, can I
Breaking
interest
Bad
you in a
knockoff,
small
but
loan to finish your
Jeff,
basement?
How did you watch that? How did you
Have you
watch
not
that shit
finished
before
it?
I did, motherfucker? What the fuck?
I watched it like 3 weeks ago.
Dude, I just
Adam,
started it last
Adam and I
night.
were talking about it.
I just
Adam and I were
started it
talking
last
about it.
night.
It's surprisingly good.
Well,
Okay.
I've been watching that football show, the Netflix football show.
Last Chance You.
Yeah, I've been watching that. Like I watched the first season like last year, and then I was watching season 2 this year, and I've been really liking that shit. And then I was like, you know what? Everyone keeps talking about this Ozark. I'm gonna fucking watch it. I like Jason Bateman, so I was like,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go ahead
I
and
mean,
do it.
it's
Dude,
obviously like a Breaking Bad ripoff, but they did well with it. I enjoyed it. They
not.
kind of
Yeah,
distinguished themselves.
I don't think it's a Breaking Bad ripoff at all. It's got a Breaking Bad vibe to it.
Yeah, but Bateman
but-
did phenomenal.
Oh yeah, dude, and he directs the shit. Like
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
when,
yeah.
When I was watching the credits, I was like, "What the fuck?" He produces it, he directs it. I don't even know.
This was
Maybe
his
he
idea.
wrote it too. I have no idea. But it's
I think he had a
am-
screenwriter, but he was part of it.
Yeah, I am very very impressed. I'm only 3. I watched the first 3 episodes last night,
Yeah.
and I'm loving it. It's a slow burn, but it's darker than Breaking Bad, and
It's super dark.
it's super dark. It's really good. I'm liking it. Now does without spoiling anything for me, does
Yeah.
it get better? Like is it
No.
Ooh.
I've had mixed reviews. Like I
I'm
enjoyed
sorry
the
to crush your hopes and dreams, but in my opinion, no, it doesn't.
I enjoyed the entire thing though. Like, you know, second season is happening. I'm okay with it. You know, again, I don't know what they'll do with it. I'm perfectly fine with how they did it.
So I won't spoil anything for you, but this is basically, I mean, the show gets progressively better until there's an episode that happens, okay? And you're gonna know when it happens. You're gonna know. I don't have to say anything. You're just gonna know which one it is when it happens. And then it's just, it's like, the way that I look at it is this. Because it's the first season, and they were probably looking to see if it was going to do well enough to garner a second or third or whatever down the road. It almost was like a Stranger Things scenario where it needed about 3 more episodes to do justice to how they were trying to end this season. And they didn't have those 3 extra episodes. And so that's why. It's not that like the story goes for a fucking whirl. It's not that the characters just start sucking it up. It's just they ran out of room. They just ran out of runway. And so it gets fucky towards the tail end.
This kind of actually segues into the next topic also, but I feel like it's been becoming a problem in the Netflix series that they have so much flexibility in the format and how they release it. But at the same time, their pacing has kind of become problematic. Like series that should have maybe 1 or 2 more episodes don't, and series that shouldn't have 1 or 2 episodes more do.
Well, I think what that is they have a budget and they don't know how well the show is going to perform. So they kind of have to just, it was kind of like when I watched 100, that show 100. I watched the first season of 100. I loved part of it and I hated part of it. Like there was something about it that I was just like, this show fucking sucks, but I want to watch it because I want it to be good. And I think it was mainly because I love Lost so much and it's got that Lost mysterious thing going on. And then apparently after the first season, the show gets really great. Like really fucking good. And they've got like 100 episodes. And I'm staring at the every time I'm on Netflix, I'm going, should I take the plunge? Do I judge this on season 1 on a new show that's got a bunch of like no-name actors and actresses? Will I get like the odd guy or gal that you've seen in other stuff that brings a little bit of legitimacy to it? And then, I think it was mainly because of it not knowing if it was going to succeed. So they have to open and close it as if it's going to be, that's it, almost to like if it ended there, it's okay, I guess. But at the same time, leave it open just in case it does well and they greenlight it. I think we're probably going to see that with Ozark. I don't know, but
I hope the second season is a little bit longer.
I am totally into the feel of it. I like slow burn, dark dramas, thrillers. I love the whole money laundering aspect of it. I loved the Mexican cartel. The dude was just he was menacing, but like
completely civil.
Yeah, but that's the scariest type. It's
that
like
was the scary thing.
It was
like,
believable. He wasn't like, you know what, Holmes? Huh? It's like, like Breaking Bad is like, I'm gonna fucking kill you, man, if you want my fucking money. It's just like, bro, you steal it from
this guy's just like,
I'm like, oh shit, you're fucked, bud. You're fucked. So that's
he's just like, look, man.
He turns into a Cape Brettoner. Sorry there, bud. I gotta fucking cut off your hand now there. Sorry to deal with it. You're gonna have to learn how to fucking jacket with the other.
Go down to Petro, grab a pack of smokes, grab a couple darts, bud. Take it for a rip. But yeah, I like it. I like Ozark. I like it.
It is. It's good. Yeah. It's good. Bateman did when we chose to watch it, it was the first thing was let's see, because the last thing I watched Bateman in terms of show was fucking Arrested Development, right? So it was let's see.
Bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But all of the stuff I've seen him
I
in
like him
that
in
I
a
can
serious
think
role.
of is comedic. Right, and he obviously does very well in those roles. So I was like, all right, reading the synopsis, I was like, how the shit does Jason Bateman do this? And as it turns out, really fucking well.
Pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So season 2 coming. I will absolutely give that a look when it arrives. And when Mr. Black finishes the rest of the season, maybe we can talk a little bit more openly about it because we all like the show.
I'll probably be done by the end of the weekend. I can't watch any tonight, but I'll probably watch another 3 episodes tomorrow or so.
Yeah. So we'll probably chit chat about that a little more. I'm going to segue into something because Ozarks. Guess where True Detective season 3 is located?
Netflix.
The Ozarks.
Oh.
What? Why?
Really?
Like middle of nowhere.
So it's been greenlit. The season 3 has been greenlit finally. So it's a locked in for sure thing that's happening now, and it apparently takes place in the Ozarks. The cast, I mean, other than that one person, I can't remember who it was we talked about before on the podcast, the one guy, other than that, who I believe is still locked in, I don't know anything else about it. All I know is that it's greenlit and it is in the Ozarks, which, you know, I have to imagine, I can't remember the writer's name, but I have to imagine he's writing it and then Ozarks come out and he goes, fuck.
Yeah.
Like that's the worst. That's going to be like the worst nightmare. That'd be like writing a book and then somebody comes out with an almost identical premise to you and you're just fucked.
I mean, it can work both ways. I mean, it can be like everybody's liking Ozarks and they go, I want to see more of this place.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's just a perfect place for that.
You're
kind
working
of
on Armageddon,
on.
and then Deep Impact comes. Or you're working on Deep Impact, and then Armageddon comes out.
Yeah, there's a guy from my stream today that says he's from there, and he never watched Ozarks because he thought it would be too Hollywood-like. And I told him it's not really Hollywooded up. It's still very grounded. It feels It's not theatrical. It's definitely a grounded, more focused story, character-driven thing. But yeah, no, that's interesting. True Detective 3. I mean, I still, are we gonna get Matthew McConaughey? And
no.
Well, then I don't care. Then I just don't care. They already burned that bridge with me on season 2. I'm done.
That's my knee jerk. You know, my knee-jerk reaction is the season 1 was so fucking good that it's almost impossible. Right. Now, season 2, the guy came out and said, I did what I shouldn't have done, and that was force the hand of the writer to do something in a period of time that he can't do. And so for season 3, I'm just going to let him do it, and when it's done, he'll bring it to me, and then we will go ahead with the show, which is what's happening here. So, with that in mind, and the location as it is, I think that, I mean, well, it would be hard to be worse or even as bad as season 2. So I'm still pensively excited for it. It's going to be a damn, slight amount of work to be able to bring it up to the level of season 1 for me, because season 1 was such a home run that I just can't even envision it being as good, let alone better. But hey, more True Detective, I'm down. I'm ready. My body's ready for True Detective anytime. They're going to give it to me as long as it doesn't involve basically everyone from season 2. Just keep all that shit. Season 2 never happened.
Great. I mean, it is what
never
it is.
happened.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. I just thought it was really funny. I saw Ozarks. I was like, you got to be kidding me. That writer is salty right now that fucking happened. It's just the worst. Marvel and more Netflix stuff. Defenders gets mixed reviews. I don't watch the Defenders or basically anything Marvel that isn't in the theater, and even then I don't watch that much of it. So I'm going to leave this.
Really? You didn't watch Daredevil?
I didn't.
Fuck no.
I didn't.
Really?
I don't have time for TVs. I don't have time for TV shows, man. The only TV shows that I watch is Suits, Game of Thrones, and Big Brother. That's it. And I occasionally can mix in one series with the wife if we're both kind of, in the room at the same time. Page. We want to turn something. Yeah, like it's. I don't know. There's too much. There's too much of it. And Marvel has never really. I tried watching Luke Cage, and I got to like episode 7 or so, or episode 6 or 7 when something drastic happened in the show, and ever since that thing happened, I hated it. Like, it was boring.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's it. Like, that was my Marvel chance. And I just don't have time. I watched the first 2 episodes of Daredevil. It was good. I enjoyed it. Did it like grab me to the point where I needed to binge watch it? Hells no. I just
Really?
it's good TV. I mean, it's just, but there's better out there. So the Defenders getting mixed reviews, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, so like that's part of the issue. Like Netflix has been kind of pumping these out, and they've already announced their next one, and people are like, "You guys might need to slow your roll a little bit because Iron Fist was really bad, and Defenders, while it was good, you guys kind of cut it too short. Like you gave us a decent storyline, but you didn't like give us much exposition, so it's way too short.
Yeah.
So that's why I like to you guys did something. You guys gave us a full season of Iron Fist, which we didn't want, and you gave us like a half season of Defenders, which we would have wanted more of." Yeah. And now they've already announced Punisher's coming out, so it's like going to be
now that might be one that I'll watch because
it's the Punisher from the Daredevil 2, Daredevil season 2.
Yeah,
so, and he did a good job with it.
Yeah, it's what's his face, Brenshaw,
John Bernthal or whatever.
Yeah, the guy from Walking Dead, and then he played in a whole bunch of other shit. He's a really good actor.
Yeah, so
that's why I'll check
Punisher,
it out.
And
it's
I feel like what they need to do. Yes. I feel like what they need to do is be like, all right, we're just going to take Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, kind of put them into their own show together instead of having 2 separate ones. And then it's like, yeah, we'll just forget about Iron Fist unless we're doing like the Defenders thing. And
well,
then,
they're trying to make the Avengers of TV, right? That's what they're doing. They have all these shows, and then they're going to make one big season that has all their favorite characters in there, and they're going to do their shebang. I mean, they've been doing the same. You know what, man? Even when it comes
oversaturation,
even when it comes to Marvel movies like that coming out, I don't really care. Like it's starting to be. It is too much, and I can't believe I'm saying that as a moviegoer because I love chucking popcorn in my face and eating poutines and watching the movies. I just do. I love the whole process of it. I mean, to get me out of the movies, it takes something special for me not to go watch a movie. And I'll go and see every Marvel movie that comes out, but I just don't get excited. You know, Black Panther, that's going to be coming out. I don't really care. I'll go see it. I don't really care. Another Avengers, you know, I don't really care. I know it's going to be the exact same thing as the last one, and it is what it is. But is it fun when the time comes? Yes, it is fun. And the last time I really left a Marvel movie, like not even Marvel, it was DC, stoked, was Wonder Woman, where I left that movie going, wow, that was good. That was really good.
Question for you, for just when you say Wonder Woman, sorry to cut you off, but question for you while you're on that Wonder Woman kick, what was wow? Well, I want to say what was wow about it, but was it because it felt different? It didn't feel like you were being fatigued because the movie was different from all of the Marvel shit that was going on? Like, because when I watch the Marvel movies, they're starting to all kind of blend together and just fucking feel like the same thrill ride. Like you go on a roller coaster once and it's dope, and then you go on a second time and it's slightly less dope, and then after a while it's just a roller coaster that you're on. You're like,
yeah, well, you're just going with emotions. Like
you're just going with emotions, right? So was that a bit why maybe that Wonder Woman was? Because with the TV shows, I feel the same way.
Wonder Woman was a combination. It was just smart. It was a combination of the writing, the tone of it. I always love a good origin story, and not one that we've seen a bajillion fucking times over and over and over again. It was something new. We got to learn about the character. We got a taste of her in Batman v Superman, and then to actually have her own movie. And it's in a character that demographically I shouldn't really resonate to, right? This was to get, I mean, my wife is pumped. She loves Wonder Woman. I think when we went to movie theater, she had like her Wonder Woman socks on and all this other shit. You know, it gets women into the movie. It was just nice to get
something new.
But I left a fan. I left like going, I want to see Wonder Woman more than I want to see Spider-Man. More than I want to see Iron Man. And it was because of the origin got me to fall in love with the character. I like the humility in the character, how naive she was about how the world works because she was just in her own little bubble. and I loved her figuring out who she was, and it was just a good payoff. Although I thought the last fight scene was a little, a little Marvel-y, a little different than the rest of the movie. But once again, it's a blockbuster. It's got to do big things. That's just the nature of the beast. But I just loved it. It's kind of hard to pinpoint exactly, but it just felt fresh. It felt new.
It was new. Like
the whole color palette of the movie, it just looked good. It just sounded great. It was awesome. It was awesome. Yeah. And I haven't gotten that for a while with other Marvel movies because we're getting the same regurgitated shit over and over and over again. And also DC had something to prove. I feel like they went in there, they took a big risk, and it paid off big time. And I'm pumped. I'm pumped for I'd be more pumped for another Wonder Woman standalone than the Justice League, but I'm still excited for the Justice League because Wonder Woman's in it, and I also like Batman. I'm like the guy that liked DC movies, but didn't like them at the same time. It's weird.
I want superhero movie wise. I want more of like the Logans and like the R-rated, like the actual gritty hero stuff now. Yes. I don't want the super happy. The Avengers stuff, yeah, that's great, but I don't want like 5 of them. Like there's so many of them coming out.
Well,
like,
I mean,
you can do a balance. Like I want the gritty
Captain
stuff
America, the Civil War, that was another Avengers movie. I mean, that wasn't. I mean, it was Captain America, but it was a fucking Avengers movie.
I want a gritty Civil War movie. I don't want like a happy-go-lucky Civil War in Marvel Universe was like a super dark thing, but they made it like almost lighthearted. I'm like, what is this? Like, it's what
pandering
the Civil War
to
was.
the most amount of people that they possibly can to make as much money
in a PG-13 rating.
Can.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
but this show,
Defenders.
The Defender. Actually, I thought we were talking about the other one. The other one that just came out. It's in IMAX right now. What is that? The one that's in IMAX? The Inhumans.
Oh,
Inhumans is going to be a TV show.
Yeah,
that's a TV show.
That's a TV show, The Inhumans, but it came out in IMAX today or yesterday, late last night. They're doing like 2 IMAX shows, and that show as well is getting mixed reviews.
Oh, that one is not even mixed reviews. That one, like people were just like straight up looking at it like this looks like a C movie. Like
I saw the poster and I knew it was going to be bad. Like it was one of those. I
saw the trailer and I'm like, this is hilarious.
Yeah. So not a surprise.
It's like the movie where you hire like the porn star who wants to like make it in the movie industry. So you could tell they're trying way too hard. And they got like a crappy C tier, like
the whole
CG.
Netflix thing with the Marvel stuff and the superhero stuff in general. It's all becoming homogenous now. Yeah. And
it's not special anymore. It's not like
I enjoyed some of them,
but I'm going through on Netflix, scrolling through shit, and it all just looks the same. It sounds the same. It's just fucking whatever. And like nothing is intriguing about it. So unless you have a serious attachment to the character that the show is about, then I don't get the draw. I'm obviously just not the friggin'
target market. Daredevil fanboy.
Defenders, special agents. Wizards.
Oh, special agents.
Orcs.
Wizards.
Now I'm opening up Netflix to look.
The Gifted. The Tormented.
Hey guys. There was a fight that happened on the weekend.
Oh.
Yeah. It was a big
fight.
And it didn't go the way that almost anyone thought that it was going to go. It played out pretty differently than I know of one.
Jeff called it pretty spot on.
I know of one guy that called it almost exactly. It was like one of the dudes that actually was listening to Joe Rogan's podcast the other day. Well, Jeff
no, I mean, the same podcast, and I
understand. I understand you. I understand that you called like rounds and stuff, but I mean in terms of how the fight played out, not necessarily like the like when it was going to end, but like how everything played out. And there was one guy that Joe mentioned. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but he like fucking like savant level called this shit, like almost round for round, which was pretty cool. But yeah, the fight went on. What was it? Round 10? It got into, I mean, technically it ended in the 8th, but it somehow managed to drag it on to 10.
It ended in the 9th.
Yeah.
The
Was it the
eighth,
ninth?
Conor
Was it the ninth or
McGregor
10th?
won the 8th round.
Was it the? I thought
The
it was
9th
10th
round,
that
he
it
got
ended.
fucked, and then the 10th, it was over.
Yeah.
Yeah, he ended it in the 10th, but the 9th round just went.
Oh,
totally-
McGregor.
Well,
was
we all
just
knew when the bell
buckled.
hit on the 9th, the 10th,
Yeah, he
that
was
was the
wrecked.
It was
show.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was. I was happy because it was an entertaining fucking fight to watch. It was a fun fight to watch. I was happy that the ref was as lenient as he was with McGregor's knee-jerk reactions to beat the fuck out of the back of
Hammer
his head
fist.
with hammer fists. Obviously they knew that was going to happen going into this fight. Like the short notice, there's no way you're going to work that out of somebody.
No,
in the time frame.
no. What happened here, bro, is killing me. The reason why Conor McGregor was hitting the back of his head is because Mayweather was smart enough to keep ducking and getting put in a position where
He
it was
kept on the
forcing
back.
McGregor. McGregor
sure.
wasn't
Actual watch.
wasn't just aiming at the back of the head. Mayweather purposely was
I get you.
constantly
He was
doing
showing
that.
his back and everything.
And he was doing that for
It
a
was
reason.
sloppy
He
boxing
wanted
on Mayweather's
he
part.
wanted McGregor to hit the back of his head so he would lose points.
Sure.
He wanted to tire out McGregor, and that was it. I mean that was
But what I'm
just
saying
the show.
is, I'm glad the ref gave it as much leniency as he did, because I think that to expect whether or not Mayweather was showing this bald ass fucking head or showing him his ass so that McGregor thought that maybe he should German suplex him in the middle of the fucking ring, whatever reasoning that was behind it, the fact is, McGregor's instinct is hammer fist immediately. There wasn't even like a thought. It was like he sees the back of his head. It was like fucking hammer fist. And so it was nice to see the ref was leaning. I thought for sure towards the end of these warnings that it was just going to be a fucking point, like without question. But he let it go on and on and on. And yeah, but it was an interesting thing to watch. It was fun to watch Mayweather figure out his karate stance, because that is unlike anything he would have ever come up against in terms of how to handle that. It was fun to watch him deal with the karate stance, plus the fact that he was hand fighting a lot. It was like watching a dude in karate stance do George Foreman style boxing, where he was just like fucking waving his hand in front of a face, and then all of a sudden, bam, fucking left hand come out of nowhere and come in after the distraction. So that was kind of neat to see. McGregor is obviously in what you would probably call an elite level striker. Obviously, I mean, there's no two ways around that. The dude's hands are fast, they're heavy. In this match, he couldn't, for the life of him, seem to plant his feet enough to actually swing full fucking bore. He wasn't swinging as hard as I've seen him swing in the fucking UFC. That's for sure. Some of that was probably he didn't want to get counterpunched and fucked up.
He didn't want to gas
by
himself.
Mayweather.
He didn't want to gas himself, and he also has bigger gloves, and he's fighting against Mayweather, a counterpuncher.
So there's
I mean,
a
if
lot
he's going
going
to throw,
on there.
Yeah,
sure.
I mean,
If he choreographs, it's over.
I said it.
Yeah,
I said it
yeah.
on the podcast. Listen, Mayweather punches harder than McGregor. Period. I mean, he just does. And McGregor, he never once put Mayweather in any type of major jeopardy in the fight. He had that one
Mayweather
really
was in
nice
control
uppercut
that entire
in the first.
fight.
In the first round, he did a beautiful uppercut. I mean, it was fucking flush. Caught Mayweather right on the chin, and Mayweather ate it like it was nothing. Now,
He was
if that
smiling
was
afterwards.
if that was fucking Triple G or somebody that did that to Mayweather, he would have been fucking sleeping. He would have been still sleeping right now. It would have been done. The thing is, the problem is Mayweather or McGregor just doesn't have the punching power like boxers have punching power. He's a hard hitter. Without a doubt, he's a hard hitter. In the UFC, when you're wearing 4-ounce gloves and you're fighting people that aren't boxers. That's not
He's a
not
great
what
fighter,
they
but
do.
not a great boxer.
Mayweather, 40 years old, went in there and made it look easy. And when you're 40 years old and McGregor is hungry, young, supposed to be the hardest, baddest man on the planet, and I'm a McGregor fanboy here, don't get it twisted. I just knew how it was going to go. I knew he was going to gas, he was going to get tired. I said he was going to get tired by the 6th. I thought the fight was going to end in the 8th.
Third.
I thought the fight was going to end in the 8th. Ended up, Connor actually came out. See, he on the judges' scorecard, they only had him winning 1 round, which was like the
he won
8th.
like 3 or 4 at least.
In my opinion, and everybody else's, he won the first 3 rounds. Yeah. He won the first 3, but the reason why he won the first 3, it wasn't because he outboxed Mayweather.
No.
It was because Mayweather
wasn't doing much.
Mayweather was letting him punch, was feeling him out, figuring him out. Like I said was going to happen. It was going to be a slow start. It was exciting because McGregor was the one pressing and throwing punches and landing, but they were all little tiny pops. They were just little punches that would get points, like that would score, even though they didn't really score because it was in Vegas and it was going to be rigged for Mayweather to win regardless if it went to decision. But either way, he was getting shots off, and it was cool. That one big uppercut was like a holy shit moment. Like I can't believe Mayweather wasn't rocked by that, but it was because bigger gloves, even 8-ounce gloves. And the fact that he wasn't putting everything into his punches because he knew that there was no chance if he would have been swinging like the fences, he would have been out of it by the 3rd. He would have gassed. And listen, McGregor put up a great fight. He went 10 rounds with the best boxer to ever live. All right, and I'm not even going to say arguably, Mayweather is the greatest boxer
50-0
ever to live, period. He's better than Muhammad Ali. He's better than Tyson. He's better than Roy Jones. He's better than everybody. You know why? Because he's never lost, and he's taken about 7 clean punches, 8 if you count McGregor's uppercut, who isn't even a boxer. In his entire career, he's made $1 billion, and he is basically the godfather of Vegas. He is the reason why boxing is still somewhat relevant today. Everybody's going to have their favorites. Everyone's going to say, I mean, listen, you definitely can't deny he's the greatest defensive boxer of all time. But I think when you look at it in terms of boxing, he's not the most exciting, although he was very exciting to watch on the night on the 26th, mainly because McGregor forced him to fight a different fight. He couldn't sit back and just counter the whole time. He needed to go to him. Also, when you're up against a UFC fighter, it's your last fight. It's the biggest pay-per-view of all time. It sold over like 5.5 million pay-per-view buys. Retarded. You got to go and make a statement, because if you go 12 rounds with this guy, it's going to tarnish your legacy, because you're Mayweather. You just don't do that. And you could see there are so many bets placed at after the 8th round that you could see as soon as the 8th round hit, Mayweather started pushing forward, and they had that great fight in the 8th. And I think McGregor for that round outboxed Mayweather and showed a lot of heart. But after that, he blew his wad doing so, because Mayweather pushed the pace. By that time, McGregor was already tired. The 8th was sort of his last like hoorah, like, listen, I need to end him now or I'm going to fucking lose regardless. And he put a valiant fight up. It was entertaining as all fuck. It was amazing. The best $100 pay-per-view I've ever spent. It was amazing watching it with 12 of my boys screaming and yelling. And there was that, it felt like there was that possibility that maybe McGregor could get off that shot. But I think once the uppercut happened and he didn't move, I was like, ooh, this is not looking good. I don't think Mayweather is going to go down at all. But man, McGregor showed a lot of heart. He made a fuck ton of money. It's going to build his brand. Nobody lost. The viewers won, Mayweather won, and McGregor won. Everybody won. It was the perfect event. It couldn't have happened any better. It just couldn't. Perfect.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. It was very well done. I enjoyed it a great deal.
I don't want to see it again, but it was amazing to watch it that one time.
No, it was really good. I got frustrated with McGregor a couple of times because just
I was more annoyed with Mayweather.
Well, I don't give a fuck. But Mayweather was going to do Mayweather things, right? And he's good, and he's smart for doing them, like Jeff was mentioning, and everyone else could see it.
Not on his strategy. It just seemed there were just points, especially early on, like as a technical defensive boxer, there was just a lot of sloppiness in his early game where it wasn't
he's
even just a
fucking-
matter of him.
Well, that's
like,
because he's
he's
up against
40
the
years old.
unknown.
And
Well,
he's
I don't
up
even
against
think
a
age has to
karate-
do with it.
well, he's a
I really
karate
don't.
stance.
it wasn't age. It wasn't age. It was just sloppy.
Well, he's
in
up
the
against a
beginning.
Well, it
karate
wasn't
stance.
sloppy.
Yeah.
Let's not devalue how great Conor McGregor is. He is an
Yeah.
amazing
He did a great
fighter.
job.
But
did a
his
great job.
stance, his approach to boxing is so unorthodox that it's when you see a boxer in there, like, doing this, and going around and doing these weird fucking things. I mean, things are gonna slip in. I mean, it's no different
Okay,
than
At no point was Mayweather out of control of the situation. He was fully in control. Just a little sloppy, but out of he was in control.
Yeah, I mean, I don't consider it sloppy. I want to say McGregor went in and he did his thing. Too bad his thing. He only had one trick. McGregor did, and that was it. His whole unorthodox way of boxing. And after that, because Mayweather is like a fucking computer, and he's gonna process what you throw at him, and he's gonna dissect it, and then you're dead. You're literally dead unless you've got a whole nother style. And unfortunately, McGregor just doesn't have another style. He went in there fighting like a UFC fighter and a boxing using boxing rules, or trying to, and that was the show. I don't think it was sloppy on Mayweather's part. I think it was more of Mayweather was going out of his comfort zone and bringing the fight to McGregor to put on a show. And also, that's just the style of McGregor as well. McGregor's a counterpuncher. That uppercut came from a counterpunch. I mean, Mayweather went in and Conor just bow, and it was quick. And I was like, oh shit! Listen, Mayweather, Conor is a good fighter, and for people to say, well, it was Mayweather being sloppy, I think that undercuts the level of fighting that McGregor brought to the table as well. And that just but once he figured that out, that was the show. That never happened again, because he goes, okay, it's going to take a few rounds. Once that was it, game over. At that point, it wasn't even a contest until the 8th,
Yeah.
when Mayweather brought it to him and took risks. Mayweather isn't a risky fighter at all. He's always been a counterpuncher. He never puts himself in a situation where he can possibly get dropped or hurt. And in the 8th round, that was when he was bringing it to him. Conor was against the ropes and said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna give it my all here too, kill or be killed." And McGregor won that round, and it was that was the best boxing in that entire fight. The beginning of it was McGregor dealing damage, and then the end of it was Mayweather finishing it, and that was the show. But it was fun.
Yeah, no, I have nothing against Mayweather's tactics. I knew he'd be stupid to have not abused the fact that, Conor's going to have some tendencies
of course,
going in, right? Yeah. I mean, you can't, there's no world in which in the months that existed before this fight that McGregor was going to be able to just fucking unlearn all of the instantaneous shit. And you could see it too. So even when Mayweather wasn't intentionally, showing his side or whatever, McGregor in his skill, this is where a lot of his skill from MMA came in, was sidestepping into a wide open Mayweather. Like, Mayweather was ripe for the fucking taking. But what happened every single time that happened, when McGregor would do a sidestep, a boxer gets free shots at the body every time in this position where McGregor was. And instead, McGregor instinctually fucking latched on and started doing the weird little fucking, like, micro jack off into the side of his head. Hammer fists. I read a bunch of different boxing analysis, comments, because I wanted to see what the take from the boxing community was on McGregor's thing. And that was one of those threads that were common amongst all of it, was McGregor had a huge number of opportunities whereby his MMA training opened up his possibilities to fuck Mayweather up from the body And instead, he but again, you can't blame McGregor. It's just fucking in him. Like, he just, like, it was probably all it took him to not kick the guy in the head, to go in and grab and clinch to start a takedown. But you can't do that shit because you're boxing. Whereas instead, if a boxer was in that position, again, it's like free. And it wasn't like, when you get a body shot and you're on the side step, you're getting hit in the fucking liver. That is, next to getting knocked out, which at least you're not feeling it until you wake up, liver shots are the most painful fucking body shots, period. It doesn't get worse unless your leg snaps in half. You get hit in the liver, you watch fights in like Pancras and stuff where it's like palm strikes and shit, people getting hit in the liver, they knock out from body pain. That kind of a body shot would have been huge in that fight. I'm not saying McGregor's gonna fucking win, but it was just every time I watched it happen, and he had like this 3/4 of a second of just wide open fucking target. And Mayweather, because he was going in head down, trying to fuck with McGregor, was wide fucking open, and I see it, and then McGregor would shoot, and I'd be like, no, fuck, goddamn, not again, stop, just fucking punch him. Don't do the stupid hammerfish shit. But it was still fun to watch, and I think that this fight and the training leading up to it is probably going to make McGregor scarier in the UFC standing up now.
Will. Oh,
so
will.
I mean,
Without
he was already terrifying on his feet. This is probably going to make him even scarier.
Oh,
and so I think I'm excited also to see his.
I mean, his confidence level must be just
through the roof.
I mean, he didn't lose that fight. Like,
no.
he lost, but I mean,
it wasn't a blowout or some shit.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't like he got in there and teed the fuck up and out in 2 rounds. He went in there and went 10 with the best on his first professional fight. Most professional fighters on their first fights, they fight for 4 rounds, and then they move up to like 8 rounds, and then they move up to 10 and 12. He went right in 12 against Mayweather on the biggest pay-per-view of all time on like a 3-month training camp. I mean, come on.
And McGregor already is known to have shit cardio. Whoever does McGregor's
conditioning
cardio
for 3 months, heavy.
Whoever does McGregor's cardio needed to be fired ages ago because his cardio.
He's got his own. He's got his own cardio program, and I don't know. Well, here's the thing: going 25 minutes in the UFC is one thing, but going 36 minutes in the boxing on 3-minute rounds against the best to do it,
fighting that long is difficult.
It is very, very tough, right? And under all those pressure, under all the lights, under adrenaline dumping all over the place, it's crazy. I agree that his stamina is the weakest part of his game, and if he were to improve that, even by 1 round in the UFC, like, because usually he starts gassing at the beginning of the 4th, like those championship rounds, he really has to dig deep, and then he usually gets a second wind in the 5th, and then, his heart carries him. But man, if he could stay as consistent as he is in the first 3 rounds throughout all 5, he could go down as the greatest UFC fighter of all time. But I have a feeling that his cardio is always going to be an issue. Some people just don't have it. They just don't have it in the tank, and they need to end the fights as soon as possible. And Conor McGregor has always ended his fights quick, except for Nate Diaz, and he's the one who really pushed him to the limit. The first one he gassed and gave up. He literally gave up. He shot. He got fucking rocked. I mean, Nate clipped him the fuck up, and before he got knocked out, he went down to try and take Nate down. You don't try and submit Nate Diaz. You're gonna die. But Conor knew that. It was him giving up. And he went and got his back taken. He instantly tapped. It wasn't even like, I'm gonna gear up and crank it. It was soon as that was it. He was looking for a way out, right? And then in the second fight, he started to gas again. In the 4th, he was fucking dead. And it was a brawl. They were both tired. And then he got a second win and ended up winning a decision. And I knew going into this Mayweather fight that he was going to gas. I thought it was going to be by the 6th. He impressed me. He didn't gas until after the 8th. And, I mean, you could tell he was actually tired by the 6th. His hands were down a little bit more.
His hands were down,
it was a bit sluggish.
Was open.
He was getting wobblier
but he was still coherent enough that he could get his hands up and protect him when he needed to, but he was not as active as he was in the first 4 rounds. Not even close.
No, so, I would like to see. I would like to see I would like to see him work on his cardio, because I think you know, as good as he is at finishing fights, I don't think him working on his cardio more is going to suddenly fuck the rest of his game up. It's not like he's trading something off there. So, you know, I just think of because I said Pancras earlier. I think of like Bas Rutten, who has had unbelievable fucking cardio, and you watch his training, and he trains for rounds that are longer, so that when he got into the ring, he was ready for way more than what actually fucking happened. And you're talking about a dude who in his prime would probably fucking massacre Conor McGregor. Bigger guy, still had better cardio.
Well, they're totally different weight classes,
gloves.
so yeah.
Well, yeah, but you understand what I mean. That's what I mean. Like different weight classes even, and he's still just straight out better fucking cardio.
Some people are just have it, right? Some people just have the cardio.
Well, naturally, but you can work to get better fucking cardio. I mean, nobody under the age of 30 can't possibly do that.
I totally agree, but also Conor throws a lot of punches, and he power punches. He goes in there to knock people out, and you know, it just zaps your energy. There is no doubt he needs to work on his endurance though, and he even knows that. I mean, he even said, "I don't know what happens to me in the late rounds. I fall apart. I get tired. He doesn't know if it's mental, but it's not mental. It's physical." He just gasses. He needs to work on it.
Your decision making starts going once you start gassing.
Everything, because he's then worried about
what's his natural weight walk around?
His walk around weight is 170. He fights. He's a 155 champion. He was the 145 champion. He looked like fucking Macaulay Culkin when he dropped down that much. So he gets stripped of that title. He won the 55. He fought Nate Diaz on short notice at 170. Lost because he gassed. And Nate just wouldn't get knocked out from his punches, and he was so used to beating up. I mean, when you're a 170er and you cut down to 145, 155, and then you come back in at 165, 170, you're way bigger than everybody you're fighting, because most of the people that are down at 145, 150, they're around 145, 150, maybe 10 pounds heavier. But typically that's usually it. So he goes in there, he's like twice the size of the people. So when he was punching 145, 155ers, they were going to sleep because the size difference was just there. And yet McGregor still had the speed of a 145, 150. So he had that working for him. When he went up to fight Nate Diaz at 170, he was fighting at his natural weight, but he wasn't used to being at that natural weight all the time and training and fighting, and so he gassed out. And then when he rematched him, he went the distance but gassed again, but still managed to get it just fighting with pure heart, and that was a brawl. So the next fight that they're trying to get set up right now for in December is Nate and Conor 3 at 155 for the title, and that's both of their best weights that they fight at, which would really determine who is. It's the trilogy. I mean, that is the biggest fight that Conor McGregor can do right now that would bring in huge money. Huge.
Yeah, Conor's a bit of a freak in that regard, because there's not many fighters that can cut that much weight and not destroy their body.
Oh, he's destroying his body. He's destroying his body.
But what I mean is
wreck on your body.
But what I mean is, like, I know he's actively doing that to himself, but what I mean is there are other fighters that just the act of doing it once and they cut weight, they lose all of their stamina. Like, it all fucking goes away. They just lock up. Whereas Conor seems to be able to fucking rebound enough to make that happen. I mean, I've always thought that it's just been more sensible to fight at your natural body weight.
Well, that's the big reason why he gasses too, is because his body has just gone through such a rigorous transformation over the course of 24
doesn't know where to store
hours.
Energy.
I mean, you think about it, in UFC, you go from like 145 to like 160 in 24 hours, and you're naturally at 170. You got to cut all the way down. You come in there looking like fucking like the light. You look green. Like Tales from the Crypt. The fucking that skeleton. That's what he looks like. It's horrible. And the next day he comes looking like like he's ready to go. It's nuts. I mean, that right there alone has probably got to take a lot out of your system.
Is there a reason why he's not just fighting at his nat weight? Like, does he not think that he can
wants to show himself as a universal fighter?
Well, not only that, I mean, obviously the fights, when you have an advantage, right? Because you're fighting people that are naturally smaller than you. So it's normal in UFC. Most fighters don't really fight at their natural weight. In boxing, they normally fight at their natural weight. Yeah. So like when Mayweather weighed in at 149 and a half, he fought at 149 and a half. Yeah. When Conor weighed in at 153, he fought closer to 170. I mean, the size difference was huge, and it's just the way it is. Typically, you just don't fight at your natural weight. There are UFC fighters that do it, but you're fighting against. You're at a fair playing level, and it's all about getting the best advantage, right? And some people don't do it as well because their training partners are the same weight class as they are, and they don't want to fight against the people in their own camp. So they'll go under or over, depending on that situation as well.
Yeah, that's fair. I just feel like if I was a fighter, I would just want to fight at my natural weight. So I'm just like, because you're mechanically always going to be at your best at your body's natural weight. So like, I get the idea of advantages and making more money because you're able to beat people up that are 1/2 your fucking size and whatever. But yeah, I just that's always in the UFC, because again, like you said, in boxing, I'm always used to seeing dudes walk in. They're usually 99% of the time, that's their walk around weight.
There are cases where they do cut, but for a lot of boxers, they're at weight. They're pretty much fighting at what they do, and the weight gaps aren't as much. I mean, you have like
they're like 3 pounds in some divisions.
You have like 154 pound. You have 150 like 6. You've got like a fucking 158, 160.
It's crazy.
And UFC, it's 10-pound gaps, right? So you've got you've got 155, 145, 170, 205, fucking 180.
Super ultra welterweight.
Yeah,
there's nothing in
micro featherweight.
I looked that up for the fight, and I saw the lowest weight was what was it? 110 or 105 pounds or some shit. I was like, who the fuck is fighting? A bunch of like friggin' children? Like who's
pretty much
110 pounds? Really? Who the shit is fighting at 110 pounds? Like you were just born and they strap boxing gloves to you and say, get the fuck in the ring and give her a go. Like at that, the gloves are bigger than their fucking head. Like,
9-year-old boys in there just duking it out.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna call it at that. We're gonna move on to side B. For those of you watching on Twitch, that just means waiting a few minutes while we do another quick sellout. For those of you listening on iTunes or YouTube, etc., that just means you either got to wait until side B is out, or because you've waited and were patient to begin with, head on over to that next thing and give her a listen. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening and watching. We'll be back and we'll be seeing you soon. And until we do, peace. Hey guys, if you're enjoying Technical Alpha and are interested in supporting us, do I have a solution for you? We've set up this Patreon page to help us help you, help us and you. We've got a list of options that would make a used car salesman cry that provide you with a range of goodies for your support. Head on over to patreon.com/technicalalpha to see what's up for grabs. Like fancy badges and stuff? Subscribe to us on Twitch to get access to, well, badges and stuff. Not big on subscriptions. We have a button below that allows you to directly throw money at our faces. Careful you don't take those eyes out though. We are so very fond of our eyes. Honestly though, while we like to joke about the sellout, just being a regular listener is a huge help, and we're incredibly thankful for all of your support. Technical Alpha will continue soon, so sit tight.